Starting now. So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening for some of you, and a warm welcome to the EthioLatinCoffee. This is our fifth webinar, and it will be on utilization of coffee byproducts and waste products, empowering women smallholder farmers, and ensuring sustainable management of the coffee industry. We are truly delighted to have you all join us today for this important and timely discussion. As you know, the coffee industry plays a pivotal role in the economic development of many nations, and it's essential that we explore innovative approaches to make it more sustainable, inclusive, and empowering, particularly for women smallholder farmers. Today, we have gathered here with a shared vision of harnessing the potential of coffee byproducts and waste management to create positive change within the industry. Throughout this webinar, we will delve into the various dimensions of coffee byproducts utilization, highlighting success stories, best practices, and addressing the challenges and opportunities associated with this important endeavor. We are fortunate to have a distinguished panel of experts, esteemed speakers, and industry leaders who will share their invaluable insights and experiences with us. This webinar serves as a platform for knowledge exchange, collaboration, and inspiration. It is an opportunity for all of us to learn from one another, to deepen our understanding of sustainable coffee practices, and to explore how we can support the empowerment of women, smallholder farmers in the coffee value chain. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the panelists, the speakers, and of course the participants who have graciously agreed to be part of this webinar. Your presence here today reflects your commitment to driving positive change and promoting sustainability within the coffee industry. Before we commence with our sessions, I would like to extend a special thank you to our partners and organizing committee who have worked tirelessly to make this event possible. Your support and dedication are truly commendable. Without further ado, let us embark on this exciting journey of knowledge sharing, collaboration, and exploration. I encourage you all to actively participate, ask questions. You can use the facilities of Zoom, the chat area, the Q&A area, and engage in fruitful discussions throughout the webinar. Together, let us strive for a more sustainable, inclusive, and equitable coffee industry. Thank you once again for joining us, and I wish you all an enriching and inspiring webinar experience. I now invite the first speaker, Mr. Javier Hoyos, who is the Executive Director of EthioLatinCoffee Technology Park for coffee based in Popayán, Colombia. He will talk about the importance of coffee byproducts and waste management for sustainable coffee production. Thank you. Over to you, Mr.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. And I hope that we can share with all of you the important experience that we had for the utilization of the coffee byproducts. Can I share my screen? It's not possible. I cannot share my screen. Let's talk about the relevance and the management that we have done in the production of the coffee byproducts and what EthioLatinCoffee has been doing for a few years. For us, it's very important to acknowledge that in coffee culture, we have not achieved to have a better utilization of the coffee plant. We have only used the fruit. In this respect, we have only managed to utilize 5% of the coffee plant. It will be the 5% of the use of the plant. But in reality, we're only using 2% of the content of the coffee plant. The rest of the plant, we are discharging it, discarding it. The main use that we're giving to the plant is maybe use it as an organic matter. And some other regions can be used as a kitchen fuel for cooking. This is the only use that we're giving to the coffee plant. We're not doing a better utilization of this plant. What can we find in the coffee plant that will allow us to utilize all these byproducts? We can find leaves, branches, stem, main stand. It has a very important root. It has the fruits, flowers, and of course the grain. It is the coffee grain what it accounts for the 5% of the plant material that we are using for producing the beverage, the drink, the coffee drink. This is what we trade, what we use, and what is generating the economic income for us. What we have achieved now is we have identified our challenges. For us, it's very important to define within the research, development, and innovation processes, we have managed to engage in generating new products. We have defined this strategies to achieve these challenges, and we need to advance in the technological development in order to create new processes and to utilize the total plant because it has many additional uses. It is also a very important challenge, and it's part of the objectives of the Women, Coffee and Environment project is to enhance the value adding during the coffee value chain. It's not only important to use just a coffee drink, but it is important to generate new business models to strengthen our profits and that strengthen the income of our producers. We need to have a good use of all these other products. Also, this will allow us to reduce the environmental impact generated by the coffee farming. We know that we don't take advantage of the pulp that becomes a waste. Many of this waste, they go to the hybrid sources and this can pollute. We also require to strengthen the understanding processes. We want the people to have entrepreneurial initiatives to strengthen the coffee businesses. This will help to reduce the negative social impacts, such as criminality, poverty. All this will help to strengthen the social tissue and the social balance in our society. How can we utilize and take advantage of the coffee plant? We can start by the stem. The coffee stems are used as wood. If you look at this image, you can see different usages at woodwork. It could be handmade or mechanical made. In some areas, they are being sold for fireplaces, for charcoal. And this is a very good wood because it's high in density. And this density allows it to be used for carpentry. These stems are not very thick, so we need to really know how to use them. This is one of the activities and examples that we can have with the stem. Leaves. The coffee leaves had a very important feature. They are high in antioxidant properties. It has a high content in phenolic compounds, and it has a very important compound, which is mangiferin, that is a very important antioxidant. The phenols compounds are organic compounds that are linked directly to the improvement of heart diseases, for example. In a way, we can slow down aging and we can prevent different kinds of cancer. This is what these phenol compounds can achieve. The mangiferin will allow to reduce the risk of diabetes and to slow down levels of cholesterol while we protect our brain cells. There has been a big amount of research at an international level. For example, the research lead by Aaron Davis, where 23 different varieties of coffee were analyzed, and they were linked to the production of this drink. And they have reached the conclusion that there's no a better drink like coffee. We have here many negative things and comments about coffee, but these are not really true. As byproducts, we concocted from each 100 grams of cherry coffees, we can produce 43.6% of pulp. And we get also 56.4 grams of coffee grains full with mucilage. When we eliminate the mucilage from the grain through fermentation or any other process, we have 14.9 grams of mucilage and 41.5 grams of wet parchment coffee. When we use it without the husk and without the mucilage, we will get 17% of water and 24.4 grams of parchment, coffee parchment. This coffee will be threshed and we will get 20% of grain and 4.2 grams of husk. When we roast these grains, it will become an 18% of roasted coffee, and we're losing 2% of this substrates that are volatile. When we say 18%, with this 18%, we prepare the coffee drink that will produce 10% of spent coffee grounds from the remaining of the prepared coffee. And we will have a 7.6 grams of the coffee drink, of what we actually consume. This is a mass balance of the coffee process where we realize that we are not really using a big percentage of the coffee. What are the benefits of the pulp? The coffee pulp has very important characteristic. 18% of fiber. It has 44 to 50% of carbohydrates, 10 to 12% of proteins, And it also has a high content in minerals, potassium, magnesium, vitamin C, amino acids, chlorogenic acids, melanoids, and caffeine. For the Arabica coffee, the ones that we produce in Honduras, Colombia, and Ethiopia, we have a content of 1.3% of caffeine and melanoids. There are other species that have a higher content on these minerals. What are the main characteristics of chlorogenic acids? It has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. So when we use the cascara, which is the 56% of the fruit, we are really, if we don't use it, we are really wasting a big amount of beneficial properties. And the melanoids, they have, it's discovered that they have antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. When regarding the use of pulp, these are the main uses. Most of the coffee producers, we produce organic fertilizer, compost for the coffee growing. It is also a substrate to produce fungi and other type of mushrooms. It can be used as a direct fuel when it's dried and burned. And it's been used to produce biogas or bioethanol, where we have, we can get 1.2 liters of ethyl alcohol, but for 100 kilos of pulp. In some areas, this dehydrated pulp is being used to make flowers, as well as herbal teas and sweets. It's been also used for animal feeding in the case of silage for the cattle. And it's been also used for human consumption through pulp and syrup that are used as sweets. And there has been a big utilization of the pulp. Regarding the mucilage, or what we call coffee honey, this is a 15% to 20% of the weight of the fruit. It's high in sugar. It has a very good proportion of protein, 0.93%. It has fiber, pectins, but it's high water content. So in some regions, it's being used as a sweetener. It's a lubricant. And because it has also anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. My colleague that is going to talk about the different experiences, they have managed to have different products like these. And we have used the mucilage not only for liquor, but also for other products like sweets and fuel. When we produce differentiated coffee, the mucilage is very important, because when we leave the coffee embedded in the mucilage, this mucilage will give a lot of properties to the coffee grain, allowing and improving the coffee properties. So there are some uses that will allow us to make a good utilization of the coffee. Another factor or element that we have not taken up, that we had not used it, is the parchment, the husk. This protection that has the grain is the endocarp that is rich in properties, agro-industrial properties that can be used to create bio-construction materials. We have tried, and we have some projects to create different biodegraded material, and we have used it to create flours that are rich in fiber and gluten-free. This is thanks to a very elaborated and sophisticated agro-industrial processes. We have done pellets for fuel, and we have really make a good use of this material in this case. Lastly, we have the spent coffee grounds. If we talk about this grounds as a roasted coffee, it's a 90% of the use of the drink. So that's why we say the utilization in the coffee drink, it's minimal. This material is being used as a natural fertilizer to a component for aromatic uses, but it's been also used as a key element to obtain bio construction material because they are water resistant to humidity, and they're very strong. We can also see the spent coffee grounds as a biodiesel because it's renewable, and this allows us an improvement of the environmental impact. We have used also these coffee grounds in different parts of the world as a charcoal fuel, cooking fuel, even to make handcrafts and other type of products. I don't know if there's any question about this. My colleague Diego has another presentation. Is there any question so far?
Javier. So next is, of course, Diego. We have a question and answer session. We have allocated time for that. So if you are finished, then we can allow Diego to continue. Okay, thank you so much for this very insightful and outstanding presentation. You have already set the groundwork for the rest of the presentations, and I really thank you so much for that, Javier. Thank you. So next we'll go to Diego. Diego's presentation is also from EthioLatinCoffee. He's an engineer. EthioLatinCoffee, a technology park for coffee. He will share. He'll continue from where Javier stopped. Over to you, Diego.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to thank you for giving us this important space to share this the labor, the work that we're doing in EthioLatinCoffee regarding the utilization of the coffee byproducts. I will continue with Javier's presentation, and I will talk about the good practices in the utilization of the coffee byproducts. I would like to share with you some products that we have developed very easily with coffee producers from our region and with some other partners that are linked to the business sector. I would like to share with all of you practices developed in a way so that any coffee producer can elaborate these products with the technologies available. As an example, we have Pas Café, coffee peas. It's a business model associated to EthioLatinCoffee. It's a very beautiful project that we have in our technological park. It is not a secret that Colombia has complicated social conflicts that are difficult. This group, it's formed by ex or former fighters, former combatants that are now devoted to coffee products as a business company, so that they produce, their motto is to produce peas with coffee aroma. Important this initiative from the EthioLatinCoffee because they use the coffee cascara and coffee mucilage. Here we have some of the examples of the products that they have developed. They have done some dairy products, sweets linked to coffee, snacks with mucilage. And this company is called Pas Café. In the year 2019, it got awarded as the most innovative project in Colombia regarding coffee production. This is another productive unit linked to EthioLatinCoffee. It's called Gusti Café. This unit is led by women coming from the coffee family, coffee producing family from our area. And they are focused on bakery products using the coffee byproducts, especially mucilage and coffee cascara, coffee husk. They produce cookies, bread, cherries in syrup, and other products linked to bakery. It is very interesting from these two groups to know that these initiatives were generated thanks to the development of the technology and thanks to the research of what we could do with mucilage and coffee husk. We were studying which other different uses we could have from this coffee byproducts. This is a very simple formula that we're working in EthioLatinCoffee. These are cherries in syrup. We worked in Hamli using the technology that is available. So we want to use the technology available to be able to produce this kind of products. These processes they are based in safety processes to get a safety guarantee at the end of the final product. We use a very practical exercise like recollection, cleaning, selection, disinfection, pulping, and washing process. And with some agro-industrial practices that we apply according to the different methodologies that we use, these two units are devoted to produce foodstuff. We also have other companies that require more technology, but we try to produce food from byproducts because this can be a good value. This can give a good value to the coffee families. without having to use very costly technologies, just the technologies available in our coffee farms, so that they can create added value to their industries, to their business. This is another example of another product that we make, linked to the coffee products with dairy products. This is a sweet that is traditional in our country. It's a dulce de leche, like a sweetened milk sweet that we call arequipe. And we have it with a coffee flavor. It's a very marketable because it's traditional. And it strikes the attention of the consumers. I have to say that when we started with the production of coffee byproducts, we started to invite people to engage in the utilization of the mucilage coffee husk, because these two raw materials have a lot of properties. At the beginning, this was very surprising. They were striked. They thought it was a barrier, because they always saw these raw materials as waste. They were not used to utilize mucilage and the husk of the coffee. And this was a handicap for us. After working and developing different products, we raised an awareness and did some previous tests. We use good practices of manufacture. Where after all this work, we managed to break this barrier, this social barrier. We wanted them to engage and to start developing new processes and new products. From EthioLatinCoffee, we train our coffee smallholders and coffee families so that they could use the option of taking advantage of the byproducts, and so that they could develop different products using the foundations that we were giving to them. This is another example, the mucilage snack. It's being developed by Paz Cafe. So at the beginning, we gave them some technical advice on the processes, and then they started to develop the products. Here you can see some photos from our laboratory. This is the plant analysis laboratory, where we study the utilization of the mucilage. Thanks to this analysis and the good practices in the manufacture, we can achieve a high quality product. This was the mucilage snack. It's a sweet, a concentrated sweet made out of coffee mucilage, where we take advantage of the mucilage component and the sugar. This will allow to get like a big amount of mucilage in the sugars. Here we can have a drink, mucilage nectar. It has been popular. It has been a good acceptance in the society. And we have managed to standardize this drink. All these, as I was saying, by using very basic, affordable technologies. This is a process. We need to really focus on the good practices of manufacturers so that we ensure safety of the product that we are selling or producing. Something very interesting in this process has been the generation of added value that we have managed to get with these byproducts. Sometimes this added value, it's higher than the original value that we might use with the traditional conventional use of coffee. Here we can have a comparative table of the adding value generation with different products. What happened when the coffee producers recollect 1 kilo of cherry coffee? It will get 1,000 grams of high quality cherries. Let's compare what happens if it goes through the conventional process. From this kilo of coffee, through the dry and wet process, we can get 200 grams of dry parchment coffee. This is how our Colombian smallholders normally sell their coffee. The profit from these 200 grams will be 2,000 Colombian pesos. This is how we do it in Colombia conventionally. From the dry parchment, we get like 2,000 Colombian pesos, which is like 2,000 Colombian pesos is like 0.50 US dollars. This is how they develop their coffee brand. We want them to encourage also to utilize the other raw materials. From this kilo of cherry coffee, they can get 128 grams of coffee. That will be 25,000 Colombian pesos. This is how we sell the coffee. This will be like 6 USD. This 128 grams, it's $1.50. But when we do the real utilization of the other raw materials in the process to produce other byproducts like cherries in syrup and cocadas that has been very well accepted in the market, as well as meat sauces using the mucilage jam, using the sugar from the mucilage. If we use all these raw materials for other products, we have another range of products that can be very profitable. There is a profitability that is higher from the profitability of the coffee drink. We're talking about a 63, 70, 85% of the return if we really utilize the coffee cascara and the coffee mucilage that are the main raw materials that we generate in big quantities after the coffee processing. What I'm saying, we need to realize, as Javier was saying, that there are other uses that we can have regarding our coffee industry. normally the coffee industry has been always oriented to take advantage the coffee drink, but there are other coffee parts that can be used. These other uses can generate a new income source that can be relevant for our coffee producers, especially so that their businesses are sustainable. Regarding the technologies or the equipment that we require in order to do these processes, these are very simple technologies. Apart from what the technology that is already available, many of these equipments, we use it also in the post-harvesting of the coffee, like the refractometer to measure the sugar concentration. We can have infrared thermometer, lactodensimeter with thermometer to check the quality of the milk. We can have digital scales. This is a very simple technology that it's used by any coffee producers. Technology cannot be a limitation for the coffee producers. We need to make sure that they already have the equipment to produce new products, to get a whole utilization of the coffee byproducts. I will conclude with our sentence that we have in our industrial park: united, we can achieve everything. If we are united, we can achieve many interesting opportunities for. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Diego, and also Javier, for your very insightful and outstanding presentations, and also success stories by Diego. And finally, the technologies that you have shown us, that technology cannot be a limitation to utilize coffee byproducts. And this is really interesting. I hope participants have learned a lot from these two presentations. Thank you so much, both. Now, next we have a presentation by Rosie from Honduras. She's from Amprocal, a coffee cooperative based in Honduras. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Karen Rosibel. I am the trade manager of the Women Association. We are in the west part of Honduras in La Labor, Ocotepec. ¿Puede poner la pantalla completa, Rosy? Oh, sorry, I was in the other channel. Sorry. So this coffee is sold in the national and local markets. In this last year, we have 68,000 pounds of coffee. We also have technical assistance, a technical assistance department to advise and guide women, small producers that are benefited by credits, and for those people that require a farm agriculture following in their farms. Our main focus is producing coffee that is environmental friendly. Nowadays, there are a lot of limits for women, especially in education. Education is still very conservative, but Amprocal has managed to increase the number of partners supporting them directly and indirectly. The trainings that we provide them, they acknowledge and value their work, and they can discover the skills to develop the entrepreneurship to support their family. Many of our partners are young women that are whose passion is to work in their business and to produce micro loads of coffee with a unique profile in the cup. This is the photo of one of the trainings that we have provided. As you can see, we are making handmade soaps, exfoliants, cosmetics, creams with a coffee base. And here you can see all the women partners. Our trainings are small teachings that have good results in our women. It gives them the possibility to create new businesses, handmade soaps, herbal teas made out of coffee using the pulp, and sugarcane sweets. These are some of the projects that we use to motivate and support the women. By taking advantage of the lots, some of the coffee farms have living sugarcane barriers, and some of our partners are working the producing of sugar cane, and this is a big opportunity, economic opportunity for their families. These are examples of some of the new products, like the Nance sweet. This is a typical sweet from Central America. This Nance sweets, it's from a group of partners, women partners, that elaborate them, and we sell them. I don't know if you know this fruit, Nance fruit. It's a very traditional fruit that the whole population uses. As I was saying, we are using the sugar cane as a living barrier, as well as to create sweets. We are using the whole byproducts in the farm. Here you can see the handmade soaps created by Amprocal partners, used by coffee's byproducts, and as well as by other types of ingredients like rice, honey. Also, some of our partners are beekeepings, and they create honey that is also sold and traded. We have infusions or herbal teas with different products, but especially we use the coffee pulp. We select it and we dry it in a very natural way, and we select it before doing the whole process. Also, besides the products that we talk about, we are also working with future generations. That means that we are training our partners' children, so that we can maintain the coffee production sustainability, and so that we can incentivize new generations to engage in coffee farming, to keep and improve the production of this valuable grain. Here you can see the kids learning how to do coffee cupping. They have been told how is the whole process from the grain up to the coffee cup. As I was saying at the beginning, Amprocal is in the west part of Honduras in Central America. Here you can see our website, www.amprocal.org. And in the background, there is a photo. And this photo is of a project where the women are doing manual sorting. The buyer normally requests our manual sorting, and this allows us to hire 12 women this year. I don't know if you have any question.
We have a question and answer session. I think Rosie have finished her presentation. Thank you so much, Rosie. Rosie from Amprocal, Honduras, for sharing your some good examples of empowering women through the utilization of coffee byproducts. Thank you so much for insightful presentations. Now we have the next session is question and answer session. I have seen some questions in the Q&A area of the Zoom platform. I will leave this session for Vivian to moderate. Vivian, over to you, please. So Vivian is from EthioLatinCoffee. She's the administration finance manager in EthioLatinCoffee Technology Park in Colombia.
I can see in the chat the questions that are in English. Do you want me to read them in English? Okay. Okay, they're asking if they can have the English version.
Okay. Let me respond to that one. So the English version.
The problem is, Alemu, the problem is that I was, unfortunately, during Rosie's presentation, I was interpreting, but I didn't realize that I was in the Spanish channel. That's why I think some people missed part of the Rosie's presentation. Is that what happened?
Yes, you started from part of the presentation, so you changed it to Spanish later.
Yes, then I changed it because I saw your message, Alemu, on the chat. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Because I'm changing back and forth. Okay.
Okay. So now, because we are running also out of time, the questions, the first question, let me respond to that one, Bito's question. I think it's better you share us in an English version of the presentation. We'll try to translate this this presentation and share in English. No problem, we'll do that. But apart from that, we'll also have the English version of the recording of this webinar, as well as a proceeding of the webinar, which will be in English, and we'll do that. Next, can you get in English subtitles? Okay, the subtitle issue, I tried to see if there is any English subtitle in the system, but when I put the subtitle, it is only showing in Spanish. So next time, when we have the next webinar, we'll try to figure out how we can have subtitles also in English, apart from the translation. Yeah, the two questions, I think they are directed to me. Vivian, over to you. Can you hear me? Vivian?
Yes, we can. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This question, why Ethiopia has not used coffee plant in different firms? It's a question. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think that question will be also answered later on when I'm also talking, because I'm going to share the experience that we had in Ethiopia with regard to byproduct use. So I think we can keep that for a while,
Yes,
so that we
okay.
can address that during the panel discussions. Thank you.
I would like to also share something for this question. I would like to mention that in Ethiopia, there's a lack of this type of products, but from our community of practice, we are motivating, and we would like to inspire Ethiopia within this community of practice framework, and we will hope that in this exercise of knowledge sharing and experience sharing, the women in Ethiopia, like women in Ethiopian women in coffee, we hope to make a pilot project where we can introduce practices presented by Diego, our colleague Diego, in the utilization of the pulp, in the syrup, in flowers. This is a very important exercise that Honduras have been doing, and that we can put it in the framework of this community of practice. We need to create these spaces in order to, I think she's muting her. So we'd like to do exchanges through this community of practice to process. And the message that I want to transmit is that this activity is starting, but this is one of the main objectives that we want to undertake in the framework of this community of practice.
Excellent. So, any questions? Alma and yeah, Alma, you had a comment previously about utilization of coffee byproducts in Ethiopia. You'll also talk about that later after the panel discussion. We'll allow you to talk, Alma. Okay, if there are no questions, then we can continue to the next session. Vivian, thank you so much. But I'm seeing some question due to some reason I will not be okay. Great presentation. Okay. Okay, so next session is a panel discussion. We have panelists from Ethiopia, Professor Gazanye Baracha from Jumma University, and panelist 2, Diego from EthioLatinCoffee, and also panelist 3, Myra from Catracha Colectivo from Honduras. We have these panelists to discuss about the opportunities and challenges in coffee byproducts utilization in the 3 countries. So Professor Kazan from Ethiopia, Diego from Colombia, and Myra from Honduras. I will leave this session for Dr. Rubalum Tadessa from a senior researcher from the Ethiopian Forestry Development to moderate. Over to you, Dr. Wal.
Okay, thank you, Alemu, for the introduction. As you have already said, we will continue on the second phase of this panel discussion. You have already introduced the next three presenters, Professor Gazai from Jimma University, Diego Triana, EthioLatinCoffee, and Mayra from Honduras. So in this order, let's continue. The first chance will be from Ethiopia, from Professor Gazai. Professor Gazai, there are a number of questions raised in the first one, so hope they will be addressed in your presentations. Prof, the session is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I really thank you for having me in this very interesting webinar. In the time I have, I will try to highlight few things, particularly on the opportunities and challenges and the experiences that we had so far as a Jimma University and partly also as a country in the areas of byproducts utilization in the coffee industry. So I think the earlier presenter, they have really clearly showed the different uses of coffee byproduct and coffee wastes. I think there is a kind of exchange, interchangeable uses of the coffee byproduct and coffee waste. I hope that we will clarify that during the proceeding writing. But in any case, and this is also one of the very, very important. And then when I really actually look at the opportunities of using coffee byproducts, as you all know, particularly Ethiopia is one of the coffee producing country, and first in Africa and sixth in the world. And in this process, there are a lot of byproduct which can be generated, which you already know. But what are the opportunities that we had to really use this byproduct? And one of the opportunity is actually the existence of this byproduct in large volume, as my earlier friends already indicated. So this is a resource which can be utilized. So the availability of that is one opportunity which we can also harness. The other is there is also a traditional use of coffee byproduct, particularly like the coffee husk, which is very common traditionally used in Ethiopia and Yemen and others as a beverage. So again, this is also a good opportunity to promote a novel product like cascara teas and others, which currently is being promoted. The other opportunity I'm looking also in this is actually we all are trying to contribute to the sustainable development goal of the globe, where Ethiopia is also committed to address some of the sustainable development goal. And this and waste recycling is also one of the very important targets. So again, this will give us also a good opportunity to invite a global initiative toward this such kind of waste management and byproduct utilization. Another important is in the country also, we have different initiatives that partly Dr. Ubalem and others also take part in the Climate Adaptation Mitigation Initiative, which also linked to the Green Legacy. So this will also invite, because the different waste management, particularly using of coffee as a mulch and others, can contribute to climate adaptation. So that's also an opportunity for us. The other is the recent increase in fertilizer price due to different reasons, which is also really creating an opportunity for organic fertilizer use, particularly the compost use is now becoming very crucial in the agricultural sectors in Ethiopia. So that's also very good. Another opportunity is the government 10 in 10 and flagship program, which now coffee is one of the 10 commodity being selected by the Ethiopian government to be emphasized. So in this also, when we are looking at the value chains of the coffee, waste management or byproduct utilization and waste management is a key area. So that's also an opportunity for us. The other is the circular economy currently promoted at a global scale, and also where we are also trying to do circular agriculture, regenerative, inclusive food systems, which are currently being promoted. So those are also some of the opportunities. And as you all know, there is a huge increase in domestic coffee consumption in Ethiopia, particularly the roadside traditional coffee making like Jabana Buna is also expanding. And particularly if we bring a new product like Ascaratis and other blended products and then also other food products, I think there is high chance that we can also develop a business model and also involve different sector and individuals, including women, in these initiatives. So saying these few opportunities, but of course there are other opportunities out there. Let me share with you some of the initiatives that we have been taking as a Jimma University and also as a country. In Jimma University, as you know, Jimma University is located in the southwestern part of the country where large volume of coffee is produced. So we have been challenged by the community that these wastes are becoming a problematic waste. So we started thinking how we can use this waste product or byproduct while actually managing their environmental impacts. So we designed what we call waste management by utilization, where we are managing in one hand, and of course, using that byproducts for our activity. In this, one of the activity that we have done is in composting of coffee waste. We did several research on the effect of this compost from coffee, and we managed to document the impacts on yield and qualities of coffee and also other crops. We also try to share and that's a finding to the global scientific community through publications and others. And the other is particularly in composting, we also looked at the media components. As you all know, if you look at the greenhouse crop production around Addis, they are heavily dependent on imported medias like cocoa beans. So we raised a question, can we actually substitute partly this imported cocoa beans? And then we commissioned this work to an MSc students, and we managed to get that we can successfully substitute 50% of the cocoa bean by coffee and compost. So as a result, we designed a business model. Right now, my master's student has actually have two companies around an Addis who are actually producing seedlings and pepper and tomato seedlings and actually distributing to the farming community in the Rift Valley area. So now he's preparing his third company. So compost from coffee waste can also be actually have a very good business model. And now we are also thinking of using vermicompost as one of the enhancer in decomposition process. And vermicompost has its own an added value, as well as actually it can also be a business as well, because now in Jima areas, in the south, in Amhara region, the worm itself are also be a business. So people are selling a kilo of worms to 1,000, 1,500, depending upon the locality. So that can also be an opportunity to be explored. Another work that we did in Jima University is we looked at the use of coffee pulp as animal feed. And again, we did this through MSc and PhD work. And we learned that the coffee pulp, although it is claimed to be a very good animal feed, but we realized that there are certain anti-nutritional components like phenols and caffeine and tannin, which can really reduce the appetite of the animals. So that before use of any animal in the pulp for animal feed, this concentration has to be reduced. That is the lesson that we learned from our animal feed experiment in Jima. The other, currently also in the material engineering department and in the mechanical engineering, we are making different briquettes from and coffee byproducts, which can also be used as energy sources. So there are also initiatives in the country, also like in Oromia Farmers Coffee Cooperative Union. Now they started the use of charcoal and briquettes as an alternative energy sources, so that they are actually claiming for climate credits. So I think there are opportunities in the country where we can also use those byproducts. And there are new initiatives that we are currently starting, like the use, like what my friend said, we are now trying to use mushroom production through coffee husk and spent. And now we are also in a process of biogas production using coffee byproducts through projects supported by the German government. And we are in the process of actually starting a different byproducts development from coffee waste, which I think the experience from the Diago presentation is really very important, because we submitted this proposal to a funder, and then we couldn't succeed. But I think we can learn from our friends over there, so that we can also still scale it up to an Ethiopian situations. And when I come to actually the overall challenge that we have, as you can see, there are several challenges. One of the challenge is the infrastructure, because some of this food development really needs a safety hygienic situations. So that facility setup is actually missing in this country. So we are still looking for partnership and collaboration with other organizations. There is also a limited know-how about the technology themselves and about the approach used to develop these different foods and products, and also other extractable and product which can be marketed. And we are also having some logistics challenge, particularly, the European Union has actually approved cascara tea as one of the noble foods. But if you want to really export this cascara to the Europe, one of the challenge is the weight, because we are now using on a container based. So the volume of the weight of the husk and the cost that we are paying is one of the challenge that we are now facing. So that may not be a very good opportunity at the moment, but and that is the lack of the logistic is another challenge. And the other very important challenge, which is still, particularly when we are talking about smallholder farmers, is the difficulty to maintain the hygienic situation, particularly the way our farmers are drying the cherries, the way they are storing, really has a challenge, because these products have to be actually free from any contaminants, particularly the kinds of ochratoxin A, which is very, very sensitive now at the global and the markets. So I'm looking this as one of the really a challenge, especially if we want to promote the cascara tea as one of the byproduct. But of course, through training, through capacity building, we can actually keep those hygienic. Otherwise, those standards and quality check and hygienic is one of the challenge I'm foreseeing in this line. When I looked at the scalability of this, of course, the scalability of this innovation, be it in the product line or in the compost, really need commitment from stakeholders involved along the value chains. Again, it needs sufficient and financial support, and it needs actually a very important documented evidence that the end users can buy in. When I come to the last, what we can actually do to address the challenges that we are facing, one of the very important instrument is actually collaboration and partnership, which I think now we are embarking in, but I think this has to be strengthened to address the challenge that we are facing. The other is to strengthen the platform like this one, so that we can improve, learn from each other, and we can also build on our best practices which work in one country, and then we can learn from each other. The other is capacity building. Again, we need to capacitate our farmers, our experts, so that sustainability can be ensured. And I'm also thinking of exchange visits, like if we have a delegate of people who can really visit the techno cafes and others, success stories somewhere, so that we can learn much. So in a nutshell, these are some of the thought I have, but I'm available to react to any questions forwarded to me. And thank you. Back to you, Dr. Ubalo.
Okay, thank you, Professor Gazahi. You have described the opportunities of coffee byproducts in Ethiopia, and you have also listed experiences in Jimma University, like composting, briquette for energy, mushroom production, biogas production, etc., and also a number of challenges. Thank you, Prof. Because of time, now we'll continue with the second panelist, Diego Triana, engineer at EthioLatinCoffee. Diego, the floor is yours.
Good morning again. I agree with what was mentioned before by Dr. Gezahin. I think that in many occasions, we're not talking only about the utilization of the whole utilization of the coffee byproducts. Sometimes we see waste as an issue, as a problem. And the best thing is to give it a good utilization, like the creating natural fertilizer. In some places, some people want to get rid of this coffee waste. In Colombia, we have done a lot of research of this utilization and studies in order to utilize the coffee byproducts, trying to find other alternatives. The sentence, these have only remained as research studies. However, sometimes these research studies, we are not being able to translate them into reality, into products, and bring them to the society in order to create an added value. So I think that regarding the utilization of byproducts, we need to articulate very well the research and the development in order to translate this research into innovation and to obtain products, a line of products that can be used not only for consumption, but also by trading, giving a business trading used, so that we can improve the living conditions of our coffee traders in Colombia and Honduras and Ethiopia. I think that there is a very important role to be played by us or by organizations that support the coffee farming. And we need to look for these alternative strategies to make awareness and to give this knowledge to the small holders, the small producers, so that they can access to this knowledge. Normally, they don't do it because they don't know how to utilize cascara, flowers, etc. There's a lot of knowledge in our industry that is being focused only on the coffee bean. But however, we have left behind the other parts of the coffee plant. My message is that we need to articulate this knowledge very well, to transmit it and to give it to the coffee producers so that they can get the profit from this knowledge and from these processes, to make these processes also sustainable. And we need to raise awareness so that they will be in love with the coffee co-products, with these processes. I don't know if you have any other questions, if you want to talk about another topic, if there's another question on the EthioLatinCoffee presentation, you can go ahead.
Okay, Diego, many thank you so much for the very brief presentations or discussion, mainly, or you focused on the alternative strategies for smallholder coffee producers to share knowledge, articulate the knowledge to make sustainable the process, etc. So hope in the question and discussion, many issues can be raised with participants. Now let's continue with the last panelist of this session, Mayra Orellana. She's from Catracha Colectivo. Mayra, the floor is yours.
Dr. Wallen, you can't hear.
Yes, yes. Now, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, we have finished with the three panelists, and thank you, Myra, for the descriptions, for the explanations, your experience living with local communities, experience of the communities using byproducts for fertilizers, making crafts, coffee flour, honey production, that is for income diversification, coffee, ink, etc., etc. Thank you for the three panelists. Now let's continue with the session of questions and answers. Alemu, have you collected some questions of this group?
Yeah, I've seen. Okay, there was a question previously by Bito. Why Ethiopia is not used coffee plant in different forms of products? This is one of the questions. And Alma Molla from Coffee Resurrect also wants to intervene. I think he has some points to discuss or to point out here. So I'll allow Bito to say, if anyone can respond to Bito's question, why Ethiopia is not, let's respond to that one and we'll allow Alma to talk. Hello?
May I try and then someone can also jump in?
Yes, Prof. Continue.
Yeah. Thank you, Bito. Well, I think you are right that if we look at the way we're using in the coffee plants, we are majorly focusing on the beans. But, you know, we are now a bit forced by the other impacts, like the environmental impact that the byproducts are bringing to the society. And because of the societal concern, now we are thinking of using the different byproduct from coffee. But of course, if you look at the ecological contribution of coffee plant itself, and we are actually benefiting a lot. So we are also still valuing a coffee tree from that perspective. And the other is there are, as I say, there are initiatives like I know of people working around Bonga, where they are actually trying to extract alcohol from the leaves of the coffee. And then, of course, what is actually happening right now, there are lots of initiatives going on, but they are not really reached to the level that can be scaled and addressing being scaled to many farmers and bringing significant impact at a smallholder level. Otherwise, there are really a lot of initiative where we can use the coffee plant for different purposes. Like I said, for ecological, for soil fertility management, because they are also contributing to the reduction of the soil erosions. And in the ecosystem that we have in Ethiopia is actually because of the coffee. So, and we are using it indirectly in the ecosystem services, but in terms of the products, and there are a lot of initiatives, but I can say that they didn't reach to the level that they are bringing significant impact. But of course, when we are really talking about the different uses of a coffee tree, we have to always think of the trade-offs. Like when we are thinking about the use of leaves, if you are using a fresh leaf, again, we have to think of how that leaf harvesting will impact the productivity, the quality in the beans. So I think that is something that we can really debate. And when we are really thinking of different uses, we have to also think of the trade-offs and also and other aspects that can be considered. Back to you, Alemu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. I hope, Vito, your question is answered. I now allow Alma Molla from Coffee Resurrect Incorporated to say a few words. Alma. Okay, thank you, Alma. Keep on connecting with us through this community of practice, as well as through the various channels that we have. I hope you have also registered in our stakeholders list. So we'll keep you posted on the advancement of anything in this project. Thank you so much for your intervention. All right. Thank you. So is there any other question from panelists or even from attendees? Any questions before I give the session, the last session, which is a closing remark to Omar? Any questions? Thank you, by the way, Dr. Ubalam, for a very good moderation of the panel discussion. Thank you so much for that. Any questions?
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay. Okay, please, Dora. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks so much. Thank you all the presenters and the panelists and the participants for your active participation in this webinar. So the last session is a closing remark by Mr. Omar Funes, who is Secretary General. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the National Coffee Council, CONACAFE of Honduras. Over to you, Omar.
Actually, we are very grateful for the organization of this webinar. It was a very efficient webinar. We had a lot of knowledge shared by all the panelists. And I believe that it's important to continue with this knowledge sharing dynamics, sharing experiences, to continue innovating in a different way in order to assure an additional income reserves for the smallholder producers, coffee producers in our countries. And secondly, to assure another food source. We have seen all the different properties, the proteins, carbohydrates, so that we can assure food security. We have seen also the medicinal alternatives that are very beneficial. And of course, we are always searching to have an additional income for the coffee producers, families, for women and young people, so that they can have a decent income to cover their basic needs. Normally, conventionally, we have only used a minimum percentage of the coffee fruit, of the coffee bean. This is not conventionally what we use to create the coffee drink, but there's a big amount of components from this fruit that could be used, and this can become a sustainable income resource for the coffee producers' families. In order to do this, we need to intake research. There are some researching being done by TechniCafe, by Jima University, and as well as Honduras and in other countries. Some cooperatives have been doing studies of pulp, mucilage, developing different alternatives. We have seen different usage as the natural fertilizer, and we have seen the example of mucilage being used as a cosmetic product, as well as the creation of ethanol. This is very important, but regarding the big amount of nutrients that these byproducts have, we need to take them into account. Many times we have seen this or considered this as in a negative way, but we need to see it as an opportunity. Talking about the challenges, we have deal already with this in this webinar, and in other webinars, we can organize and talk about how this information can reach the coffee producers so that they can implement this knowledge, and so that we can move from words to action and really create a feeding and returned income source. We are looking the best ways to assure decent incomes for the coffee producing families so that they can path a way to prosperity, so that especially young people from our countries can devote themselves in other activities, so they can have a work and life plan using these products. There's a lot of knowledge there, and there's another knowledge through the research being done, but maybe we need to make it available for this families, women, or young people that want to utilize and produce their line of products. I was very amazed of the use of the leaf to make tea, using the pulp to make all these different products. In the case of the wood, it's a very good alternative to create handicraft, but we can also create furnitures. We need to teach them. We need to teach our producers, young people and women, to make a good use of this knowledge and to improve their income and have an additional income. I agree with the fact that we need to work in this market of carbon credits. We have talked about this topic as in how in the coffee production we can benefit from carbon credits. There is a big opportunity out there. We are still a lot of things to be learned. There's still a lot of things to know, but we need to move from this pilot projects. I know that we're doing pilot projects in Honduras, Colombia, and scale it up to help all this family. I invite all of you, I motivate all of you to continue this South-South cooperation. This is very innovative. Sometimes the language is a barrier, but it's still an opportunity to help each other because the coffee language is unique. I believe that this webinar and the other webinars that we are organizing, the excellent work that I see Spanish Cooperation, Ethiopian, Austria, that is organizing this community of practice, I think you play an important role for all of us that we're learning from it. I also projects, they're always searching for different alternatives from the conventional coffee selling or coffee industry. This at a commercial level, this coffee plant, it's very profitable. We need to think of other alternatives. We're very grateful for this community of practice. We need to continue in this community, sharing knowledge, sharing information, thinking outside of the box, and having the coffee families as a priority. How can we improve their living standards? How can we improve their incomes? Thank you so much, Alemu, and all of you.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you so much for the closing remark. So now this webinar is officially closed. We can put our camera and greet each other. Thank you all. It's officially closed now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, Alemu. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.